let them catch up if they end up coming a little bit later. So recording is started, and I will just pass this along to those who are showing up late. Anyways, okay, so thank you for finding time. Oh, here's Margot. Thanks for finding time to chat about this. Basically, this is kind of a non-typical kind of project for us at WCLN. And so some of you have had some project experience with us in the past, and just looking down, Kelly, Kalina, Margot for sure, and some are new to it all. But normally, as you know, WCLN is an organization that we basically try and support all the people out there who are doing online education per se, or are doing remote learning or blended learning in the classroom or whatever. And the blended learning and remote learning kind of stuff was starting to grow on us over the last couple of years, and then COVID hit and it went nuts. And so anyways, here we are. And one of the things that we've kind of run into recently is K-3 was kind of a small part of the overall picture for us. So we developed resources and we kept going down, and we kind of stopped at grade 4. And so Margot and Kalina were involved in that. And basically we stopped at grade 4 and thought, okay, that's it. You know, going any younger doesn't make a lot of sense as far as building online courses. But with the COVID going on like it is, the demand for resources K-3, you know, spiked. And we're still in the position where I don't think we're probably going to make courses per se, that is online courses. But I think we can help those around the province and the provinces, I guess I'll say. We can help them out by just collecting some ideas for them. So there are a lot of kind of K-3 teachers out there who have suddenly been asked, okay, here, you've got 40 students who we didn't even have this program last week, but now we have a program because there's so much demand for K-3 because kids have to stay home, illnesses at home, uncomfortable situations, whatever it is. And so programs are popping up all over with K-3 being part of the overall offering. And so people are desperate out there. So what we're going to do is, I thought that if what we could do, just bring together a bright young group and say, let's collect some ideas. Not build a course, not build games, not build videos, kind of all the other stuff we do in other courses. This one will just be going out and doing research on the internet, looking around, finding things that we think, you know what, if, yeah, there you go, Mark, yeah, right in the crowd. And start to collect a bunch of ideas. And so it's going to take a bit of creativity on your end. Some of you have some experience in the online world. Most of you don't, particularly in the K-3 area. And so what you're going to be going out there and doing is looking for things that you can picture a teacher who is suddenly thrown into a K-3 situation and told, you need to supply some ideas and some resources to these students and their parents to get the materials out there that, you know, align with the curriculum, but are also fun, or also interactive projects, games, worksheets, all of the above, all those kinds of things that if you were in their situation, you would be looking for. And so that's kind of what you're trying to envision there. Oh, and I see Anne. Are we meeting in Zoom? Yes. Just a second. Bear with me. Yes. Link in calendar. Okay. Hopefully she figures that out. All right. And so, yeah, that's your job, or that's what this job is. And so I'd be interested in you guys just over the next couple of days, kind of deciding if this is a good fit for you, and sending me an email if you think that it is, and what kind of time you think you can put into it. And that that will allow me to kind of think of where that contract fits in and stuff like that. If it ends up being, yeah, I could probably fit in, you know, 10 hours a week to do this part-time, great. If it ends up being something that you're involved in and therefore you're pushing it even harder, that's great too. Give me an idea of where you're going with this. There's very little pressure in some ways on this project. In other words, a lot of the projects we have like 100 teachers out there waiting for us to do it, and all of their students kind of like, so if we run late then everybody's upset. This isn't one of those kind of projects. This is kind of the idea where we just start piling things in there and letting people look around and getting some feedback. And I think that it would be worthwhile feedback in amongst each other here. And we're all going to have, and part of developing for WCLN is you have to have a little bit of thick skin there, and that not everybody's going to agree with what you do, and that's okay. No teacher is going to agree with the other teacher and everything is cool and everybody nods that every concept is the way they would teach it. So, so basically what I would like to do is just to start off with the idea of if you're interested, fire me an email, let me know what you're thinking. We're going to go over tonight just a little bit of a visualization of how this thing might look, the organization that Margot's talking about there. And then what we'll do is we'll just kind of open it up to those who are part of the project and just start throwing stuff in. Now, at some point, will we decide that, okay, we've got some stuff going on here, it's time to split it up. We have some areas that we need to beef up more than others. Let's kind of divide up the project. Okay, who's interested in kindergarten math? Who's interested in this? And we may get to that. We'll probably get to that at some point. But at this point, I think it's just a matter of looking for the coolest things you could find that in your mind are the types of things that a teacher in that situation would love. All right. I'm going to share screens and we're going to, just one second here. Okay, so basically, as you know, you're all teachers in these courses on the WCLN site. Hopefully you've all logged in there and taken a quick look. If anybody has any problems with getting in or getting around, you just let me know in your email and we can certainly meet up and touch base on that. But they're all basically the same layout. So I just did one course and then I just copied it to the others. And so I don't know how much we're going to divide things up, but at this point, we'll just divide them up by main topic area. And then of course, at the bottom, I have mixed ideas because some of you will be like, well, I've got an idea that mixes some of the concepts from English and socials together. So I don't really want to put it under either one of those. And so you'll be putting it under the socials idea. So just quick introduction to Moodle. A couple of you folks can just nod off here for 1 second. You've seen all this before. If we go into turn editing on, which you are all teachers in here, so you all have that ability. So going into the course, top right, just click the gear, turn editing on. And at that point, you'll see that you have little pluses here. And this is the area that you're interested in. So in a math area, you click on that, add an activity, and there's a few options. So all of the things that you're looking for are down at the bottom under resources. You don't care about activities at this point. So basically, the majority of what you're going to be doing is if you find a game out there or something like that, and you just want to link straight to that URL, then you can choose the URL one. If you found a worksheet or something like that that you thought was fantastic, you can choose a file. If you want to copy and paste some description or something like that, then you will choose a page. So really there's three of those options that we're looking at. It's probably going to be either a file, if it's a worksheet or something like that that you picked, a page if you want to put some description in there and you can put some links within there if you want. Or if you just wanted to send them directly to a site, then it's your URL. Okay? Let's just go through a couple real quick. if I were to do a file, and let's say you found a great worksheet or something like that, what you can do is you can just say, this file, this is math, and let's add, well, we don't actually have to write math because it'll be under the category math. We can say adding decimals, and all you primary teachers will be like, you idiot, you don't do adding decimals in that age. That's why I hired you guys. I don't have a clue what you guys do in this age, okay? So adding decimals. So that kind of allows the teacher, if that's the next concept that they're trying to head into, that they can go down your list and they can kind of zero in on that. And now you can say worksheets. And if you have a series of them, maybe you want to say worksheet number 1. There we go. Now you've saved that worksheet to your desktop, and now you can just drag that worksheet into the files area here, and you can say save and display, and you will have that link to that file listed right here. Okay, same idea for the others. If you are going to do a URL, in other words, here's a site, and if it's a site that's really general, let's not send people to sites and have them search around doing your job. That is the research and development, finding the really good stuff there. You find it and then link directly to the good stuff. So in other words, if you're going to use a URL, zero in on something that's really useful to these people. Not just a, here's a cool site, lots of cool games, and everybody has to go searching. That's your job. Find the games, then tell us. So URL, add, and yeah, once you find it in Chrome, just grab it out of the URL there, paste it right here, give it a name. Again, try and zero in on something that subtraction. And so, and this one is a game. And so then that way they go down there, they're looking for the main topics, they zero in, that's something worth trying. And again, save and display, and you've got your game there, okay? The last one that I'll show you is just the page. And this is our third option. And this is if you have something that you want to explain a little bit. So you can just, again, type in your title, and then down here in the contents, you can upload pictures, you can write or put links there, you can do all kinds of stuff. Oh, here's Anne, perfect. Okay. All right, so she's just coming in here now. Hey, Anne.
Hi there.
Yeah, so we just got started a little bit. We did start the recording, so you can kind of catch that first 10 minutes at the end there. So, okay. All right, and so we're just talking about adding the page at this point. And so with this one, it's more of a, you're making a web page at this point. And so you've got an editor, and you can just click this and it gives you all your buttons. And so it's like having a nice little editor, not that much different than Word or anything else. And so if you want to write, kind of explain what you were going to do with it, or you know, have links, but you want to have an explanation before them or something like that, here's not a bad way to do it. You can just go in here and say, here's a nice little set of tools that are great for learning where to use periods. And so then you type that out, and then you may have a link to one place, and then it goes great with this worksheet and stuff like that. So it allows you to build a little collection of your ideas into one page. And so again, you've got all the buttons, you've got the, you know, just like being in Word, really. I mean, you go in there, play with the buttons, you'll figure it out in no time. As far as links go, here's the great worksheet. And you can select that, and you can go and link it, and there is your URL and stuff like that. So I'm happy to go over more details than that. Most of you, that's probably, and so there we go. So back to the beginning here. And so at this point, again, the main job is just to go out there and start digging around. Look at the K-3 curriculum, notice some of those main topics, go look for what would be some cool tools to send home to a student and or parent that would help support this part of the curriculum. And so hopefully we have maybe a couple things on subtraction, a few things on addition, a few things on money. I don't know what's in the math one. A couple things on, you know, how to write a sentence. I don't know what's there. So bottom line is, what we want to do is we want to jump in there and start throwing things in there. And in a couple weeks, if we have a bunch of links, what I would like to do is I'd like to post it out to the districts. There are a number of administrators out there already who know this project is happening. They've asked for it. And so basically they recognize that they threw a bunch of new people into a situation that was in their district never touched before. Okay, you're in charge of online K-3. What does that mean? How do you do online K-3? I don't know, but you're in charge of it. And so you have a bunch of parents and students who will be waiting for you next week to give them ideas. And so that is actually happening all over the province, all over Western Canada. And so you're going to help bail these people out a bit. And so, yeah, the bottom line is just start getting ideas out there, and then we'll meet up again in a couple of weeks, and hopefully there's enough stuff in there that the administrators are poking in there and start directing their teachers in the right, you know, to here to come up with their ideas, and the sharing starts and all that kind of stuff. And we'll meet up again and talk about, okay, so how do you feel this is going? Is there a better way that we should organize this? What's your thoughts? And you guys will tell me what to do, and we will continue evolving this. Again, you guys are the experts in this area. The expert in laying out the outline and saying, here's how to put the technical things in place. And after that, I have to stand back and watch the magic happen. So at this point, I'm going to stop. Any questions about this? I'm sure there's lots, but you know, any questions about getting this started?
Can I talk?
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
There isn't anything in there right now.
Right.
Correct? Yeah, because I looked at it earlier.
There's nothing in it right now. So I threw out the invitation that if anybody had some time in the past week to kind of throw a few things in there, knowing that if everybody is as busy as all the staff here in Kelowna, then I doubt anybody's going to get to it. But here's hoping. And I don't know if there's any links in some of the others, but in this course, there's none. That's right.
Okay, I'm sorry I was late. I was just
no worries.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah.
So I went through and I saw all the provincial government curriculum has some example lessons, but they're very few and far between, like 2 for science, maybe 1 for math. Are you
calling the curriculum vague? What?
No, I'm saying the examples that they post at the bottom of the curriculum are so, there's like one really good biodiversity unit. Can we add that into your program? Right.
Yeah. The thing is that starting with the curriculum and taking a look at it is a great place to start. Are you going to get a whole lot of? I expect that at that point you're just going to. It'll help you focus on what you're Googling and doing your research on. Are you going to find anything really amazing in their examples and stuff there? Well, no, maybe. Let's be optimistic, possibly, but not likely. Yeah.
There isn't.
Go ahead, Margot.
So Norbert had a few people, and there were 1 or 2 at my work that were working on the translation of old open school stuff being updated so it's not so resource dependent and so forth. Mm-hmm. Do you know what happened with that stuff? Because I know we had people at my work that put hours into it.
Yeah, I talked to Norbert about that, and he's all in. He'll supply us anything that he has there. But what his feedback at this point was that he'll put together what he can for us. But he said that probably going out there and doing the research out there might be more valuable than what he has, simply because it was modifying old documents. And so
but some of it was good in terms of the scaffolding, like the progression of skills, I guess you might say.
Yeah, if you can dig, like any of that stuff that you dig up, I know Norbert was busy, but he's all into this. Like he was totally committed to this project. He gave me a yell and said, yeah, you can have anything that we have,
Right.
but I'll have to gather stuff up and I'm not sure, you know, it may be value to you, but we'll see kind
I
of
have a
thing.
copy of everything in my closet.
There you go. Well, then so
Okay, the next question is,
go ahead.
I have the entire grade 3 math written on paper for people to do at home with parents and kids together. It's all paper based, and it was written a partnership between the DL consortium. So it was Paul Montgomery negotiated with Jump Math. So it's actually copyright Jump, but any of the DL schools that were part of this in BC could use it, but we couldn't use it outside of BC.
Well,
So,
actually, yeah, they all that group ended up giving us rights to anything they had too.
right, but they actually never had the rights to this. This was
Except
Jump.
for the
So I'll
Jump.
put you in touch maybe.
That's right.
Maybe you can
So
negotiate with Jump.
yeah. So anything that you can throw to the group, you know, because maybe going through it all might be, you know, a big job. You know, sharing
And
it out with the
can
group.
it be independent of, can it recount on a few books? Can we say, for this unit, you need these resources?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is this is different than a lot of our projects. So with most of our projects, when we build courses, we are careful about copyright, no textbooks, you know, all that kind of stuff. This isn't that. This is just referring people to ideas. So even if you ended up putting something on there and perhaps it would come in the form of a page, and you just say, here's a great book that, you know, reading to the kindergarten kids, it really helps them think about, you know, this part of the science curriculum or whatever. And then you just say, here's where to find it on Amazon or what have you. That is totally legit in this case because all we're doing is collecting ideas.
Right. And then when the curriculum shifted, it had started as open school, and then so there were 6 grade 4 modules. 2 of them were done with open school, and 4 of them were done with the DL consortium. So, and it was grade 4. I have all of those, but some of the curriculum has shifted. So for example, the First Nations, I have an entire unit now. There's other stuff integrated with it, but it would be really easy to tweak it and throw it up as a social studies English, entire like 18-day, whatever, 20-day unit.
Right. And I didn't visualize anybody putting anything in there that would justify a book, but in your particular case, maybe it would. So
well, it would probably be a PDF document that people could print and hand out.
Yeah. I mean, all of those ideas are great. Yeah, you betcha. Anybody else thoughts?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So is there any specific media you want us to avoid? Like when we're putting links in there, is there stuff that you don't want us to put in?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we do not want, so if you go out searching for games and you said, I want games on easy subtraction, you're going to come up with a lot of those games that are either Flash based or Java based. And those we don't want. So just because those are fairly poorly supported by browsers and it'll just confuse students. So as far as when you go and you look at a game, it will typically, a Flash one will load up and it will show Flash, and quite often you'll get a warning at the top of your browser because it's an uncommon or becoming uncommon now so that the browsers aren't supporting them. If it's Java, it'll say you need to download the latest version of Java to play this. Then those types of things we do want to avoid. And it's a great thing to bring up, not just simply because we fell into this boat too. In other words, we had lots of grants over the last 20 years and we built piles of Flash games, and some in Java, but mostly Flash. And that was the cool thing to make games in for years. And it worked really well, but it also was very, it was very heavy on the computers. In other words, browsers are starting to recognize that there's better ways of doing things. And so that's not part of current standards anymore. So us and a lot of other people out there built a lot of Flash stuff. So you're going to run into it. So it is a good warning just to kind of, if you run into something and you had to download Flash or Java in order to run it, then you should skip over that one.
Okay. And then I have kind of a two-part question, starting with, if we are writing instructions for something that we've put up, who's our audience? Is it actually other teachers? Is it parents? Is it both?
It's to teachers. The only people that at this point, the plan is that the only people accessing this will be the teachers. And so they're looking for kind of ideas to share with their students and teachers. And so we're just collecting ideas for them. You know, where this goes in the future, I don't really know. Will we have people say, oh yeah, there's such a good collection of things, we could put it together into a course at some point? I hope it doesn't go that way. But on the other hand, we may be adjusting it to suit parents / students. But at this point, consider it that you're building everything here for the teacher themselves. Okay.
Oh,
And then,
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly, and then we'll hit Anne.
okay. And then just sort of looking at that organization piece and wondering if maybe, so that we're not missing certain skills, if we should be maybe throwing in whether it's big ideas or competencies, so that, you know, we know that, I don't know, counting from 1 to 20 or understanding number sense from 1 to 20 or whatever is covered, and we haven't left a gap somewhere else further down. Yeah, or do you just want to sort of throw everything into the math bucket and just pray?
Yeah, I think that if we kind of approached it from the point of view of your job was to hit every big idea and competency in the math for grade 3, we would hit Christmas and you would be, you know, partway done, right? It's just, the idea here is not to make a course, but just to help throw out ideas. We're not going to, at this point, we're not going to hit everything for everyone. We're not going to hit the entire curriculum. We're not going to, if we can help these people out by saying, here's 10 fantastic math ideas for your grade 2 students, and it's a bit of variety in there, the topics, yeah, they'll have to fill in the gaps, and it's their responsibility to look at competencies and big ideas and stuff like that. If we can just kind of get them a kickstart here, that's our job for now. And if later in the year we kind of get to the point where we have a whole mess of ideas in there, and you guys say, okay, well, we kind of got over that hump of sharing ideas out and people seem to value what we did, that's great. Now maybe what we should do is clean up our act and organize it according to the curriculum. Well, maybe we'll get there, but that's not our job right now. Right now it's like shotgun approach. Go find cool things that match there, throw them in there, and now you've just saved that teacher a few ideas. There's 5 topics less that they have to stress about. That's all.
Can I ask my question now?
Yes, go ahead, Anne.
So I made some PowerPoints when I was teaching grade 3 for things like art. So how to make a paper mache piggy bank. And then it went with my math unit on money. So could I put the PowerPoint on there?
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah, so that would be the file. And so it would just be add the activity and go down to the file, and you would add it, and you would just drag your PowerPoint right on there. And yes, you can describe it as an activity described in PowerPoint for math and science, I think you said.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions? You're starting to get a little bit of a feel for where we're heading with this?
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm working with a school right now with DL school here in Merritt's Guides, and we have swarms of elementary coming in, and we're still using the old open school program, trying to make that work. And so I'm very curious to know to hear actually that it has been played with and there's been some changes done, and I don't see them anywhere in the Skides building. So if somebody has them somewhere, I would love to see what has been done, because that's something that I'm looking at doing, is taking the grade 3 open school and then throwing in a thermal energy unit or something, trying to make it fit in the new BC curriculum better. So if that kind of work has been done somewhere and is floating around, I would love to see it for grade 4 as well.
Yeah, so just and Marco could probably speak to more details on this, but the project that was underway for that, it wasn't about bringing it up to the new curriculum as much as it was just kind of, when it said go to your cassette tape and plug it in and listen to it, was kind of like getting rid of that kind of stuff, right? Because it was pretty ancient.
And making it less specifically book dependent. So find a book about this as opposed to you need the red apple book, you know. I wasn't part of the writing team for that. Primary is not really my wheelhouse, although I've been involved in some math stuff for that. But I know, like, the people at my work had put quite a bit of time into it. So they were basically using, I guess, the skills progressions and the themes and the ideas and updating it and making it less, you know, a lot of the books were old and out of print and you couldn't buy new copies if you wanted to, even though they were perfectly good in terms of pedagogy and reading level and all that stuff. You couldn't assume that everybody could have them. So that's kind of where they were.
That's what we're discovering right now, is that so many of those books are out of print. You can't get them anymore. So
yeah, so a guy in Northern BC has all that stuff, what was done. I think they were working in Google Docs and they had a whole bunch of it scanned and switched to text, and they've been working on it and taking out all the archaic technology stuff and adding in like app suggestions and making it less book dependent. So I know, I don't think we got very far, but I know a lot of
I'll follow up with Norbert on that. So Margot, the stuff that you have, toss it in there, and people can process from there. And I will follow up with Norbert, because he was the one who kind of led that charge. And he, like I say, he's fully supportive of everything we do here. So yeah.
Let's say I worked with Norbert here for a few years, starting in about 2004, 2005 or whatever. He's the guy who mentored me and got me started in DL. So
oh, poor
I'm up
you.
in Fort St. John, so say hi to him for me when you talk to him.
Yeah, Norbert's a good guy. Okay, yeah, I'll give him a yell tomorrow and we'll follow up with that, and I'll say hi from Kathy. All right. Okay, anybody else? Questions? Yeah, Ashley.
Yeah, so I have a question. When we're finding our resources, is it preferred that we're trying to find resources that have attached assessment guides or like any kind of answer key? Because I know that the goal isn't to find things that are like content, curricular, aligned with the curriculum, like a course, but should we be providing the answer keys or making one for resources to find, or not really worrying about that?
A little bit of both, I would say. The idea of saying, if I'm going to supply a game or a good video, that I have to supply all the supporting assessments and conversations and all that kind of stuff related to it. No. If that's handy, in other words, if you go and you find, like, let's say you find this game and some people have built worksheets related to that game, or a summary to videos or something like that, or if you think that would just be something that's worth you stopping and building quickly. But there's no expectation here that you're going to cover all the bases of everything you supply. It's a free-for-all kind of area for now to help out those people, so that when they're kind of like, I have no idea what I'm doing and have all these students in front of me, but there are some cool games, I can get them involved in that. And sure, I may have to be responsible for assessment related to that. If you happen to find something related, then throw it in, great. But do not feel that you have to cover all the bases in order to include a cool game that you found.
So you were saying it can be really simple, like one page or single lessons, and it can be full units and everything in between. It could be apps, it could be, so it doesn't have to be all complicated, but it can be.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want things like a curriculum map for grade 3?
That's what I like to ask. Like when we're organizing it, I know that it's by grade level, by subject, so math, English, socials. Are we going to plug in themes within that organization? And are we going to maybe put like, what if we put an additional folder altogether? So it's not just grade 3, it's not just you choose grade 3 social studies, but there was just one that said fact. And in the fact, there was like some sort of instruction or like a curriculum map that kind of helped guide teachers into this transition, especially those who are kind of thrown into this new DL role that don't know what to do.
Okay, well, let's leave it at this. The idea, you know, if we, you know, any of those ideas are definitely, you know, possible. And again, I'm kind of depending on you guys to look at it and say, if I were in their shoes, what would I find really useful? You know, reiterating the curriculum is probably not a big part of you know, what a new teacher jumping in. I mean, they'll be able to look at that. But on the other hand, if you're able to tie something to the curriculum and explain how it ties in and stuff like that, yeah, that would be useful. So I don't really want to say yes to that, no to that, yes to that, but it's more the idea that, you know, visualize yourself being given the job. You're probably going to look at the curriculum as the first thing you're going to do. So do we need to do that here for them? Probably not. They've got the curriculum in there. Like if I were in their shoes, I'd have some ideas. Okay, for math, here's my list of kind of main topics I have to look for. Oh, look, a game on one of them, and here's a cool worksheet on another, and you know, some little video set on another. Well, that kind of gets me started. So is that helpful? Is not, you know, as far as where you go with it is, you know, tying it to the curriculum, you know, if it's an easy thing to, you know, it may not be apparent why this ties in nicely. Great explanation would be nice, but, you know, reiterating the curriculum on the other hand may not be the most useful thing to them. You decide. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and basically, you know, today was just about hitting some questions, trying to get a little bit of a visualization of what we're trying to accomplish. And like the curriculum, I'm being quite vague, and I get that. And you know, you're jumping in and you're kind of deciding, okay, well, he didn't mention this, but this is something I'd find useful. Then roll with it. That's awesome. But the thing is that really at this point, what I'd like you to do is just in the next couple of days, you know, come in here, look around, you know, think about it, send me an email, say, yeah, I'd be totally interested in this or not. Here's kind of the plan I would have between now and Christmas as far as hours that I could commit to this and stuff like that. And I get it, things change. Some of you job might change or something like that. So it's not as though you're signing your life away, but it does give me a feel for the contract idea. And once we get the group in, then yeah, I would like you to start throwing some stuff in there. And you know, risk is where we're at here. If you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure everybody will like this one. This is my first one. I don't want to be critiqued. Frick, throw it out there. Get it out there. Get the discussion going. Okay, so don't hesitate. Find some cool things. And yes, in 2 weeks, you'll find cooler things. And you'll be like, oh, that wasn't so cool. Okay, I'm going to go back and delete that before anybody's do that. Whatever, that's all good. But I don't want a bunch of people over there kind of like, oh, hesitating, like, oh, who's the first one who's going to post in this area? Just post, get it out there, get the discussion going. All right. So anyways, that's it for this evening. I appreciate your time. And yeah, I hope to see all of you involved in this. I think that would benefit a lot of people. Have a
Thank you
good
for the
evening.
invitation, Brent.
All right. Have a great evening. See you.
Nice to see you all. Good night.